Hello, everybody. Welcome back to part 2 of this week's episode with Luke Ambler. I know you're going to be in for so much wisdom, knowledge, power, inspiration. If you've missed part 1, please go back. Please go back. But today's segment with Luke dives into the power of resilience and how sports shaped his approach to life. Luke opens up as well about the lessons learned on and off the field. Yeah, and trust me, his insights are game-changing. If you missed part 1, please, like I said, go back and catch up, because this conversation just keeps getting better. And if you can't wait, you can always go to Spotify and Apple. But part 3 will be back tomorrow, or it's on the playlist ready for you to grow in smaller chunks for you guys. Anyway, here's Luke. Enjoy. A lot to take in, a lot to think about. All right, okay. We're going to go back. We're going to touch on those because a lot of people can take a lot away from you. Let's show people then, because the podcast is called Leading Our Own Way. Let's tell us, how are you leading your own way now then, with everything that you do professionally and mentally and physically and emotionally? So
there's 4 areas, we'll call it, where I'm a leader, if you could say. One is I run my own company where I have 7 staff who go out and deliver wellbeing interventions and culture induction programs for MOD contracts. For an MOD contract all over the UK, they're out now. And my way of leading them is through action. So I lead through example. So they'll know that I'm the first in, last out. They'll know that anything that they've got, whatever big or small is going in their life, I'm there for them and I've got the back. And I also lead through humour with them and through the others. So I think it's really important that culturally we have a laugh about stuff, and we definitely do. We're constantly having a laugh and a lead on that. And when it's time to get serious, flip to Andy's Man Club. I've got technically 2 leadership roles here. One is I'm chair of the trustee board, so I've got to make.
I'm going to show a picture of Andy's Man Club. There he is.
Stand up on that one.
Wearing the black again.
Always black.
We've just made a joke before we came on air, everybody, about him wearing black.
Always.
Love that.
Got to make governance decisions and lead that. And as a lad who started that when I was 26-year-old, it's been a whirlwind to go from being technically a kid out here, 26, or a kid, and starting this big movement, and now having 39 full-time staff and 3,000 regular volunteers. It's quite crazy. So again, with them, the trustee, I'm big. Anyone who tells you I'm big on humour. I like to make the best of situations. I always try and make people smile and people laugh. So weirdly, even though I'm the It's Okay to Talk guy, I'm probably not the guy who's going to pat you on the back and tell you it's going to be okay. I'm probably going to tell you a joke. I'm probably going to try and make fun of myself or a situation where people can go, should I be laughing now because I've just found out that someone's died or my partner's left me or thing. Usually people appreciate the break. And if you know, which I know you do, NLP, it's about breaking cycles. So someone's in a self-loathing cycle and everyone's telling them it's going to be okay. Sometimes someone just going boom and hitting them with something completely different. It makes them laugh. And I think leadership-wise with that, it's the same thing. I try and be creative, bring perspective, but I like to lead with a smile on my face. And the last 2 areas where I'd say I'm a leader is, and I'm big on this more than anything in my life, is as a dad. And people say you shouldn't bring your kids up different. I definitely do, and it's not because my stepson, because I treat him as if he's my own. But I feel that we're in a world now where young boys aren't treated as young men, and we are trading up as replacements. And he does need to be a leader of a family one day, and that is from someone who's got massive admiration for my mum, for my wife, for my kids, my daughters, who I think put on a pedestal. And it's not a over toxic masculinity thing to say, but I think the world still needs strong men. And I think we're often, because of the Andrew Tate phenomenon and other people, where people have now made it really actually bad to be a strong white male for some reason. And I think actually we still need them in society. So for him, I'm really proud of where he's at. I challenge him constantly without being too much on him, but I challenge him to be better, and that whether that be school. We don't call it discipline. We have standards in his house. Yeah. We're big on standards, how we conduct ourselves, how we speak to each other, getting school on time, how we handle his own work, how we have conversations with teachers. He's into CrossFit, he's into running, and he's got some very high standards. My daughter's the same though. They love training. I'm big on them with standards. It's something that we're big on. And then finally, I think you've got to lead yourself. If you want to lead others, you've got to lead yourself. And for me, I never want to get caught out. And what I mean by that is I believe sometimes people can have different personalities on social media or publicly than they do in their private life. And I try and be as real and raw as possible. Obviously, some stuff are, an argument with your partner doesn't need to be in plain sight. Does it?
Yeah.
If you have a disagreement about something, or you need to tell your kids off verbally, or you want to have an hard word with one of your staff about something, or a thing word. But ultimately, I want to try and be as transparent and real in ultimately whenever I can and wherever I can. And what I mean about the partner and kids thing is they might be going through something hard. I'm not going to put on social media that my daughter's struggling with X or son's struggling with Y or partner's that time at month. I don't know, right? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
But there's some stuff that you've got to keep private, aren't there? But
Absolutely. And I agree with all your points. And I wrote the book How to Lead with Purpose, and I plan on writing another book eventually. And it's not going to be a sequel; it's actually going to be a prequel, because what I've understood since my journey is I love people going to work happy. So everything you've just said there, I love, because I think you should be bringing humor to the game. I think when I moved to Australia as a teacher, I was struggling. I was trying to connect. I didn't know anybody. I was trying to connect with people. I was probably over friendly and brought my British humor with my British sarcasm, and I don't think it won people over. But people used to say, I heard people say, and sometimes they might have said it to me, I can't remember, but I've not come to work to make friends. I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
Why can't we be friends? It doesn't mean we have to go and have dinner every night or go and have drinks every night or every week, but we spend 8 hours together a day. Why can't we be friendly together each day and be positive? I don't want to come to a toxic environment. No wonder my organs spoke to me and broke down, and I almost passed away from chronic stress, So I'd be writing not how to live with purpose, but exactly what you said, how to live with purpose. Us be present first. If I'm present, I can get up every day, set the standards, set the tone for my family, for my workers, my employers, whoever I work with, not for, but with me. And then they'll hopefully go and do the same, and they'll come to work happy. Play that long game, as Simon Sinek would say, that longevity game, that infinite mindset. The business will thrive anyway. Not these quarterly annual cuts or annual budget cuts, and you have to cut people because you're trying to wring as much out of them as you possibly can. Do you know what I mean? Do you know where I'm coming from? And we win in the long way, in the long run, by looking after ourselves and looking after the people that we work with, on our family that we live with, even.
About the work bit there, because we in the Andy's Mancom office, we got a dartboard recently.
Yeah,
so
love that.
a competition with that, so everyone has a dartboard, and then one at the staff asked, I always had this idea that going to work, people need to work. You've got to work, like you've got to do it. Otherwise, especially in an industry like Andy's Man Club, where I'm a volunteer still, always have been, always will be. But people's film road money, people's hard-earned feats of going and doing mountains, raising money is for that cause. So people have got to go and open more clubs and help more people and try and get guys change life. But we also want to have some fun along the way of doing it. So recently, I think we bought a second-hand pool table that doubles up as an ice hockey thing. So in the break, they'll all go and have challenges and play. And I think that's important. I'll go in sometimes and just be disruptive and, start sharing ideas with people and have big, have debates, and we've got a big sofa in there where our office is, and we'll have a laugh. And I just think it's important. I think it's important people feel that. And recently we just did a nice, beautiful one as well. So there were words on a wall that said, teamwork makes the dream work, right? And it were an adopted saying from the office that we'd have technically adopted off another company. And I said, I want to paint over it, and I want to create a family tree. So you can get these it's like a metally plastic, and it's just a tree. But I want every single staff member's photo on there, past or present. So we had 2 staff members who'd left and one who tragically died. And there's a photo of Andy, a photo of me and Elena were the founders, and then going up in order is every single staff member we've ever had. So whether you come back in a year, 10 years, 20 years, the idea is that you're forever part of that family tree. And I think that's so important to think. So when you talk about leadership, it's not just about having fun, it's about a feeling for me, that people feel connected to the work and feel like they're a part of it, no matter what the title is or how high up the tree they are, that they're all part of it.
Completely agree. Couldn't agree more. I think we need to because I've been living in Australia for 13 years. My friend, shout out to my friend, I hope he doesn't mind, but Colin, he comes to, I don't know if you've met Colin Seeley yet, but he made me aware of you, and he said because he knew about my podcast and he'd been listening, and he said, you should touch base with Luke, Andy's Man Club. I was like, oh, okay. So I looked at the website and straight away I was hooked. I really want to share with the world the depth and the size. Talk to me about the size of Andy's Man Club and what you've created, because I remember on our pre-chat you spoke about the hashtag that you created, and it's something I have heard of, but I didn't know it was connected to you. So, and I've just shown the picture before I probably give it away, but share to me about talk to us about that Andy's Man Club, the size of it, the sheer, what you've done with it, and where it's going. Because I believe actually you've just opened one in my hometown, by the way, Denton.
Right? Yeah.
When I go home, I'm going to go
100%.
Yeah.
Every Monday, 7:00, excluding bank holidays. We now have, I think it's just under 300 groups nationwide.
Yeah.
The 5-year goal was to have 10 groups, and that were a made-up idea when I first, someone said to me, is it going to be a fad, this campaign you've done? So basically, at the start of the campaign, sat on my toilet, actually, I came up with idea, and I would have sat there and I thought, how could we raise more awareness? Because in 2 weeks, first week we had 9 men turn up. Second week we had 15 men turn up to this talking group for men where men don't talk. And I thought, shit, if 15 men can walk through a door in a little town of Halifax, in a little area called Ovingdon, how many more guys would want to attend something like this? So I started a campaign where I took a selfie with an OK sign, said tag 5 people, let them know it's okay to talk, and I put some stats in about just how bad suicide was. And it was trending at one point, number 1 or 2 on Twitter. I remember me and my dad sat in Costa, and every time I refreshed, it just kept coming up. Perth, Australia, Wisconsin, America. Every single second there'd be another 10, 20 people doing this OK sign. It was just viral. I mean, I was laughing because we were just sat there having a cappuccino up in a local Costa. It's like, who'd have thought that, like, just you sat here, we did this, and it's like mad. And I think the Samaritans, their tech guys at that time had said however they could do it through an app to find out an hashtag had reached 100 million people. So that was before social media being as big as it was now. You're talking 10 years ago. And with the momentum of that, it was like, right, shit, we better create more clubs here. So we got on this path to create more clubs in a really organic way. By his 5th birthday, we hadn't opened 10 clubs. We'd opened 50 groups nationwide. And then it were a boom came, and we've opened over 50 in the first quarter of 2025. So by his 10th birthday next year, we're probably on track to open his 500th group. And just for numbers wise, for perspective here, each group on average gets around 22 men. That's the actual number. It's 22 men a group. So, this time next year, as we're approaching his 10th birthday, we should be helping, nearly 10,000 men a week, every single Monday between 7 and 9. We're currently just under the 6,000 mark, which is beautiful. So we're just under 300 groups. So couple of new groups opening tonight, and every week we have more groups opening in a really organic, natural way. And it's beautiful. I've just been on an SLT meeting now, and just hearing the updates and what we're working on is phenomenal. So yeah, amazing. In terms of scale, it's great. It's something great. It's great. It's a great movement to lead. Yeah,
my word, I'm proud of you. You should be so proud. I don't know. Oh my word, it's insane. It's mind blowing. So if I was to turn up to my one in Denton, when I go home to visit in Denton, do you know where Denton is, by the way? Near Stockport? Do you know where Stockport is?
Stockport, yeah.
I'm 10 minutes. Denton's about 10 minutes away from Stockport. M60, Ring Road, near Oldham.
Oh, I know Denton is, of course I do, yeah.
Yeah. So if I was to turn up to the Denton one, let's say, what type of, is it just around the suicide, or is it a range of topics? What would I see if I'd sat down in
we are a suicide prevention group.
Yeah.
Right. The idea is that really what you should say is we're a hope group, but the people think we're a faith group. So, because the pandemic at minute in suicide, it's hopelessness, right? People lose hope. That's what happens, right? People lose hope. They lose hope that they can see the kids again. They lose hope that they're going to get a job, that the debt problem's never going to go away, their addiction problem, their mental health problem. They have this, they just lose hope. What we're trying to do in these spaces is give guys hope, not through any method other than we have 5/6 questions, technically, but it's 5 questions that get asked every single week. You come in, so if you were now, we'll just take it on a user experience. You'd park up, you'd walk up to the door, there'll probably be a couple of guys stood there, we're called sweepers with Andy's Man Club tops on. They'd say, "Hiya mate, how you doing, you alright? You coming to Andy's Man Club?" You'd say, "Yeah." it might be a bit nervous, but you come on in. There's a brew station over there. Help yourself to a free brew and a couple of bickies. For those that don't know what a bicky is, it's a biscuit. Go over, you'd grab a couple of biscuits, you'd have a tea or a coffee, you'd go sit down in a bit of a circle. Then the facilitator and co-facilitator would start that group. They'd read the ground rules, just stuff that we don't talk about, religion, politics, any criminal matters that are happening that you could be facing, just to not put you in a situation. And then also medication, because we're not a professional group and we don't want people to badmouth medication if someone really needs it, etc., etc. They just read off a bit of rules, what's said in room stays in room, built on trust. And then they'd ask the first question, which is, can you give us your name and a positive reason for being here? Yeah. They would then have this ball, it's a foam ball. They'd say, my name is Luke. My positive reason for being here is I've been a facilitator here now for, in my case, 8.5 years. Wow. I love it here. I love coming and seeing the changing guys, and I love also coming offloading myself. He'd pass it to his co-facilitators who'd keep that flow going. He'd then do that, go all the way around. You'd answer your question. My name's Andrew. I'm here from Australia. What we're all about. Yeah. Ball would come back round. The first question's always, how's your week been? So everyone would go around. Even a guy who don't want to speak is probably going to answer that first question, how's your week been? Because, it's been shit. That might be it. Ball will go around. Bearing in mind, just for perspective, if that group's got really big numbers, there'll be multiple groups in a room. Yeah. So you normally sat with around 12 guys, tops. So if it's a group that gets 50 guys, you'd never be sat with 50 guys. They'd be in different rooms. Yeah. How's your week been? Ball goes on again. Give us one positive from your week. The next question is, out to get off your chest, and then we'll have a break, another brew, another bit of biscuits if you want that. Go outside, get a bit of fresh air. Come in for the last two final questions, which I can read this week's two questions for you, actually.
Yeah, because, please do.
As a staffing group, I post the Monday questions. So the Monday questions, which our area leads come up with, which is a beautiful thing I'll tell you about in a sec. I post them in on a Monday for a staff check-in. So staff all answer them in the morning in text. So this week is what is one thing you treasure the most and why? So we always have an and why question because we want to attach the emotional connection. It gives people hope. Yeah. And then number 5 is always a bit of fun, or it's just always something a bit different. Just, it's not necessarily always inspirational or thing. This week is very simple. You can appear on a TV show. Which one are you choosing?
Love it.
So in fact, what we could do for a bit of fun is we can both answer these two questions if you want.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so this week, for question 4, what is one thing you treasure the most and why? My actual answer, I could have picked all sorts. I could have picked my kids, I could have picked my camper van and things like that. But I actually put laughter. I said, I really love laughter, having fun, and not taking life too seriously, which is weird because it's a theme of the day with yourself. And I like to try and live the best I can. And the reason why is because life's so short and it's going to be over before we know it.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
I was going to do the whole typical family thing as well, if I'm being honest.
Which you can. It's your perspective of that question.
Yeah, but we talk about this quite a lot, and I acknowledge that quite a lot because I've worked on myself because there was stages of me where, I didn't find that as my purpose. Now I do see that as my purpose, part of my purpose anyway. So ask me the question again because I want to process it as you say it to me, like I'm sat in that circle. I want to kind of imagine I'm sat there with you.
What is one thing you treasure the most and why?
Outside of my family, I'm going to say I'm going to say the podcast because I want outside of the family and the partner. I really want to acknowledge that because I want people to know that is one of my first and foremost things that I'm living for. But the podcast because I am meeting 2 or 3 people a week where I'm filming and learning from them, just like I am from you every week, and I get so much thrill and love and knowledge and drive. And it keeps me living with purpose as well. As part of those little things that I do mentally for clarity and all of that, I love it. And I just I wish so much I could do this full time where I didn't have to go and teach every day. Even though I love teaching, I want to do this all day, every day. That's it. Yeah.
Love that. And then number 5 is, to close off the questioning at this week at Andy's Man Club, you can appear on a TV show. Which one are you choosing? And now on reflection, now that the day has started, this morning I was a little bit tired. But this morning I actually thought of SAS, Who Dares Wins. I think I'd like to be put front ringer and really see what I'm capable of. But actually, now I'm thinking about it, I would love to go on that. But for a bit of fun, I'd like to be in The Simpsons as a cartoon character. I really would. I think it'd be really funny.
I can see you in there wearing the black T-shirt with the.
Yeah,
I really can.
yeah, I'd like it. It's either one of those two for me.
I like that. Well, because you were drinking out of the cup, and I was known as Andy Chandler White growing up at high school in Denton, I was very sarcastic, and I was known as Chandler. I'm devastated by the way Matthew. And see, there we go, Central Perk. He's for those who are not watching it, he's holding a Central Perk Friends cup up, and I told. Well, I can't really say it, but there's a possibility of having a member of the cast of Friends on the show soon. I can't really say because it's not confirmed, but I've been working on it for about 8 months. Incredible journey, by the way. Friends, I'd love to be on Friends. Always wanted to be on Friends. It's like it touches on what I'm sure they had their environments. I'm sure they had their mods, and we don't see it. But I don't want to destroy that vision. But the turning up to work every day and having a laugh with your friends for other people too, and getting $1 million. Not that it matters, but getting $1 million every week as well in the 90s. Oh, I'll take that.
Also, I think on that one, what'd be really nice is if you imagine yourself actually on the show,
as
not an actor, but actually just on it, like just sat down with 6 of your best friends in that coffee shop, having a chat, dissecting life. They've pretty much nailed Andy's Man Club back in there. They were just literally 6 friends, a lot of drama going on, heartbreaks, pregnancies, divorces, cheating, you name it, Phoebe's character in herself. Joey, like just sat there with those characters of life, which is pretty much like an Andy's Man Club, the most weird and wackiest and unbelievable people ever meet. You just sat there having a brew and having a chat in a circle. That's what they do in it. They sit in Central Park and they sit and have a chat, which is phenomenal, isn't it?
Join us tomorrow to hear more from today's incredible guests and learn valuable insights to help you lead your own way. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you then.